Welcome. In this video, the event, Dual Randomness of Girls Frontline will be summarized. Throughout the video, there will be spoilers for the story of Girls Frontline. If you don't want to be spoiled, please go and play the game. The event opens with the commander discussing the aftermath of a recent mission with Javier, who reminds him of losing M4. After their call ends, Kalina and the commander prepare to escort a transport convoy. Later, they reflect on an offer to leave the battlefield for a safer life in the Green Zone. Kalina is conflicted, revealing she considered following the commander if he left. A joke about replacing her upsets Kalina, prompting her to run off, leaving the commander regretting his words. Dandelion appears, having reviewed a massive 2,800-page data file from the sub-base without permission. She taunts the commander, revealing intel on Paradeus and their interests in Sangvis Ferry, and suggests that the AR team be deployed to investigate further. Despite concerns over the team's condition, Dandelion is confident that they're ready. She also proposes multiple missions to save time and gather intel. The commander agrees, knowing the situation demands swift action. Early the next morning, Kalina wakes the commander for an urgent call from Persica. Still annoyed with him, Kalina refuses to accompany the commander to the command room. Persica, who hasn't slept, apologizes for her absence and expresses regret over M4's disappearance. She believes M4 is still alive and asks to speak with Dandelion, hoping for answers. Though Dandelion isn't under the commander's authority, he agrees to Persica's visit. Persica reveals that she has Javier's approval to come, but seeks the commander's final permission. The commander realizes Javier orchestrated the situation and reluctantly agrees, noting that Persica wants to bring her lab as well. Persica agrees to compensate the commander with the long-promised cup of coffee. The commander, slightly amused, looks forward to it. Together, they prepare for the challenges ahead. Angie and her dolls cross the quarantine belt into Bremen, arriving at an open field where a crate is dropped from a freighter plane containing AK-12 and AK-15. Despite the rough landing, their weapons and equipment survive intact, thanks to careful preparation. They meet Kay and are introduced to Morido, secretary to Chairwoman Ulrich, who has facilitated their entry. Ulrich herself remains cautious but supportive, emphasizing the precarious political environment and her interest in their mission against William and Paradeus. Angie insists on a mutual exchange of intelligence and assistance, wary of hidden agendas but willing to cooperate for the greater good. Ulrich welcomes Angie and 12 into her office, praising their dedication and revealing her commitment to changing the corrupt world order. She assigns Hops, a retired GSG-9 officer, to protect Angie during her stay, while Morido assists with navigating Bremen's complexities. Angie remains guarded but recognizes the value of their support and the fragile alliances forming in the city. The group settles into a temporary outpost, aware that internal political strife complicates their task. With the new resources and allies, Angie and her team prepare to search Bremen carefully for any signs of William, knowing he conceals his actions well and disappears before evidence surfaces. They decide not to rush, but to observe and gather information, understanding that other factions also seek the same target. Angie relies on her dolls' skills and newly established local connections, trusting that patience and strategy will eventually expose William. The AR team infiltrates the SF base, encountering chaos and fierce resistance. Architect battles alongside Geiger, but eventually escapes amid the flames and destruction. Aro returns wounded, but determined, while Dandelion takes control of the Jupiter cannons to fend off enemies. Architect confronts Geiger, urging her to abandon SF and join Griffin, claiming the faction is finished and their orders meaningless. Geiger refuses, clinging to her loyalty and old commands despite chaos. Their heated exchange turns into a fierce fight, with Architect purposefully losing to demonstrate her complex feelings. Architect suggests that true freedom lies beyond blind obedience, but Geiger insists on protecting her comrades at all costs. After the confrontation, Architect expresses her differing goals and willingness to meet again, but the Griffin dolls decide to abandon her, deeming her a liability after her loss to Geiger. RO insists that, despite being dolls, their emotions and memories are genuine, feeling their determination and sense of self. As the team prepares to leave the ruined base, Architect pleads for help, left behind among the ruins with only severed legs. Dandelion sympathizes with her, though RO remains pragmatic, confident that Svarog forces will recover Architect later. The team boards a helicopter carrying with them the heavy weight of their mission and losses. Sop jokes about punishing Architect, while Star comments on the futility of past conflicts and the importance of moving forward. The dolls acknowledge their pain, but emphasize that their memories and emotions make them who they are, beyond mere program orders. Architect's fate remains uncertain, her cries echoing beyond them as the chopper departs. Angie and 12 find themselves surrounded by enemy forces outside the Flora Institute, a cult obsessed with plants who believe humans are mere fertilizers. Jay explains the cult's fanaticism and hints at a connection to Paradeus, though he remains detached from their mission. The dolls intimidate the ragtag thugs, preventing them from entering. Reinforcements, AK-15 and AN-94 arrive just in time, but RPK-16 is missing. Meanwhile, Leone is trapped in her underground office, reflecting on her failed plan and the overwhelming power of T-Dolls. Leone is suddenly ambushed by 16, who brutally interrogates her about the location of research materials. Despite intense pain from broken fingers, Leone stubbornly resists, mocking the doll as a heartless machine. 16 taunts Leone's ideology, exposing the contradictions in her beliefs and the futility of her cause. Leone admits that she's been used by unknown partners who provided weapons but no soldiers or escape plans, making her a disposable pawn. 16 explains how Leone's mission was a test to gauge their strength, and the real enemy laughs from the sidelines. 16 forces Leone to reveal where the data is stored, but discovers the hard drive wiped clean, confirming a deeper betrayal. Angie arrives and discusses with 16 Leone's despair in the cult's mysterious advantage. 16 reflects on the doll's ambiguous roles as possible future beings, likening themselves to plants, both revered and uncertain. Angie dismisses the cult's beliefs, skeptical that plants or dolls hold any solutions, while 16 questions who truly defines the correct path. Despite the chaos, Angie remains resolute, determined to uncover more hidden clues within the Institute. The dolls maintain control, but acknowledge their enemies are always one step ahead, using manipulation and betrayal to undermine them. Dreamer wipes vomit from her face, unimpressed by humans' resilience, while Destroyer anxiously asks what to do. Suddenly, 416 and Squad 404 storm in, demanding Anna and attacking SF. Dreamer activates her remaining forces, preparing for battle, but after heavy losses, only she and Destroyer remain. Destroyer, frustrated by Dreamer's hesitation, confronts her and her decline since Elisa left and the slow repairs to her own body. Despite the tension, Destroyer ties a strand of her hair to Dreamer's finger to promise that they won't die before the other. In the aftermath, Dreamer faces 45 and 416, who reveal they track Destroyer's deteriorating condition and accuse Dreamer of hiding the truth from her. 45 offers Dreamer a chance to join Griffin, promising safety, resources, and a fresh start, despite past enmity. Dreamer, exhausted and distrustful, refuses, wanting only peace for herself and to care for Destroyer. The commander warns that alliances may shift, leaving their futures uncertain, while Dreamer quietly escapes with Destroyer in her arms. Meanwhile, Anna wakes up in a strange place, frightened and drugged, uncertain of her fate as she clings to memories of hope. Anna remembers being told she is a seed with potential, but also fears the darkness that may consume her, symbolized by the crates where children like her lie seemingly asleep. At the Griffin base, the commander reveals that orphanages have been exploited as sources of test subjects for cruel experiments, facilitated by intermediaries like Uncle Powell. They discuss a drug produced to sedate children for transport, which often fails, causing some to suffer terrible fates inside their crates. 45 reflects on the cruelty of those involved, noting that no amount of cleanup can erase the guilt of their crimes. The Griffin team plans to investigate further, following leads on the orphanages and the drug production to uncover the full extent of the atrocities. Anna's survival and testimony becomes crucial to exposing the sinister operations behind the experiments and trafficking. Meanwhile, Dreamer and Destroyer's strained partnership faces uncertain days ahead as they evade Griffin's pursuit. Angie and Morodo investigate a mysterious death at Burrell Orphanage. The house mother, Isabel, has taken her own life under suspicious circumstances. Through a letter hidden in a children's doll, Angie uncovers that Isabel had made a desperate deal with a man tied to the German Independence Party, or GIP, to secure funding for the orphanage, unknowingly sending children to their deaths. Isabel, aware of the corruption surrounding her, wrote the letter as a last-ditch effort to expose the truth before her suicide. As Angie and Morodo examine the scene, they discover evidence that the GIP has been trafficking children under the guise of adoption, with help from local authorities. Isabel had tried to report these crimes, but the police had been compromised. Andrew realizes that Andre, a GIP agent, arrived early and tried to destroy the letter and tamper with the scene. However, Isabel anticipated this and sewed the evidence into the doll, giving Angie the upper hand. The two women decide to rescue the remaining children before the GIP regains control. Further investigation reveals that the GIP has been using an old underground air raid shelter to dispose of the bodies of the children, mostly refugees, who were suffocated in transit. Isabel discovers this too late, but her sacrifice enables Angie and her allies to intervene. Morodo promises to rehome the children in safer orphanages. Angie, aware of how dangerous the GIP is, warns that the group's reach includes those pretending to help. Hops, their liaison, confirms the police are done questioning him, and they are prepared to leave. Before departing, Angie confronts Jay and shares a key piece of evidence, a bank account tied to the real Adam, one of their GIP collaborators. Jay is stunned to learn that the letter was merely a decoy and the true lead was the account data hidden inside the doll. Angie instructs Jay to investigate discreetly, suspecting traitors within their ranks. Though she's already wary of trusting the Stasi, she believes Jay may be an exception due to his connection to a trusted ally. Og Para teases VHS about a secret involving a doll catching her off guard, but VHS nervously deflects. They explore a control room filled with glass cases containing coolant for servers, discovering a seemingly dormant Ouroboros body used as a storage device. VHS connects to Ouroboros' neural cloud, uncovering massive amounts of simulated combat logs, but the connection triggers Ouroboros to awaken. As Ouroboros grabs VHS and incapacitates her, SF forces close in, forcing the team to act quickly. Para and the others witness the chaos as the awakened Ouroboros threatens them, blending cuteness with deadly intent. VHS recovers from the attack, explaining how the data overload caused her overheating, and Ouroboros' earliest backup neural cloud activated unexpectedly. The team scrambles to sever connections and destroy the servers, with PM-1910 unleashing a fierce assault that floods the room with coolant and shatters the glass cases. As they regroup, they realize the original Ouroboros body has vanished, signaling that the threat has not been neutralized. Explosions erupt, scattering the team as Ouroboros reveals her ruthless nature, forcing them into a desperate smokescreen retreat. Mondragon rallies the team, determined to stop Ouroboros before she can escape and endanger the others. Back at Griffin HQ, Kalina worries about the untested dolls, knowing their lack of neural cloud debugging makes them vulnerable, but hopeful that combat experience will accelerate their growth. The commander receives updates confirming the mission's partial success, but notes the danger remains since Ouroboros escaped after fighting the team. They discuss how Paradeus likely stole Ouroboros' neural cloud data and speculate that William might use this to create more advanced, ruthless AI dolls. This new threat could mean more future battles against more efficient, ethically unbound enemies. They decide to entrust the remaining data to Persica and plan a moment to commemorate the team's survival. Despite the tension, the team manages to send a group photo back to HQ, showcasing a mix of emotions, from Lou's insistence to the others' reluctance. The commander reflects on the situation with a mix of concern and dry humor, wondering if Kalina still harbors resentment over past jokes. While continuing to investigate the orphanage and the Botanical Institute involving Powell and the GIP, refugees crowd around the church, but an explosion in Zone A sparks chaos as turrets on the settlement walls fire indiscriminately, trapping everyone inside. Anti-riot automatons armed with shields and guns advance on the church, forcing 12 and 94 to defend while others try to escape. Despite limited ammo, the dolls hold off their attackers but suffer casualties, and the enemy prepares to send reinforcements to finish them off. Amid the turmoil, a mass enemy force reveals their intent to eliminate Angie's group, escalating the danger as the refugee settlement descends into riot and disorder. Angie's group navigates through the disorder, witnessing fires and destruction as refugees erupt into chaos stirred by infiltrators. Angie refuses to abandon the mission to capture Powell, guided by the doll's intelligence on his location, despite Hobbs' insistence to find safety. Morido, hesitant but determined, wants to stay with Angie, while Jay vows to protect the group with loyalty even as tensions rise. The enemy's plan to destabilize the settlement and isolate Angie's team becomes clear: create a riot and vanish amid the chaos. Angie spots disturbing non-human creatures lurking in the crowd, signaling that the true threat is more sinister than anyone expected. The dolls' efforts to hold the line grow desperate as explosions and gunfire shake the centuries-old church, forcing the team to jump from windows and retreat through the streets. 12 and 94 make a last stand, taking down automaton attackers, but eventually disappear in the smoke after a fiery explosion topples a building. Unknown enemy operatives confirm the dolls' losses and prepare to unleash ground forces, freeing an agent codenamed Pigeon to act as their discretion. Inside a former art museum, the enemy commanders declare their intention to wipe out every survivor in the settlement, revealing their ruthless determination. Meanwhile, Angie leads her group into a tall building, watching the city burn and the refugee crowd spiral towards a full-scale riot. As black smoke rises and howls fill the air, Angie spots Powell's hideout and prepares to confront him. Tension mounts with creatures that appear less than human among the panicked masses, confirming her suspicions about deeper danger lurking beneath the chaos. Refusing to flee, Angie steels herself to drag Powell out from his hiding despite the overwhelming odds. Hobbs, bitter and desperate, lashes out at the exploitation and injustice faced by veterans and locals while refugees receive aid. The dolls engage in intense combat and uncover a mole within GIP, identified as Hobbs himself. Jay, severely injured, is cared for amidst the turmoil, while reinforcements led by Kay arrive to contain the riot and secure the area. Angie and her team prepare to report to Chairwoman Ulrich, realizing their enemies are far more deeply embedded and dangerous than initially believed. Evidence points to a complex trafficking network using children as test subjects, with figures like Powell unwittingly involved as intermediaries. Despite Hobbs' betrayal, Angie suspects he remains ignorant of the full scale of the conspiracy involving Paradeus and the secret arrangements with a house mother. Kay and Angie discuss strange powders found in the area, possibly linked to collapse containment and Flora experiments, hinting at a sinister connection between biological weapons and the ongoing conflict. After they regroup, the team reflects on their losses and the grim reality of their mission. Jay jokes about a future coffee date with Moridow, lightening the mood despite his injuries, while Angie remains focused on the unfolding crisis. Moridow and Angie share a quiet moment aboard a freighter, heading to meet Chairwoman Ulrich. carrying the weight of their discoveries and the burden of uncertain hope. The sky darkens as the flaming settlement fades from view, smoke rising like a ghostly monument to the shattered lives caught in the conflict. Angie contemplates that if God exists, he might find hope even among such ruins. With their dolls repaired and reinforcements secured, Angie prepares to confront the deeper conspiracies threatening Germany's stability. The enemy's reach extends beyond the GIP, with hidden players controlling events from behind the scenes, forcing the team to question who can be trusted. The investigation into the Flora Institute and the refugee settlement reveals that powerful forces manipulate children and biological experiments as part of a broader scheme. As they approach Chairwoman Ulrich, Angie and her team steel themselves for a confrontation that may decide the fate of the country. Angie confronts Morido aboard the freighter, firing at her with deadly intent. Morido reveals superhuman reflexes and cold precision, easily dodging bullets and retaliating with brutal close combat moves. Their tense fight exposes Morido as a Paradeus cultist, determined to recruit Angie to their cause despite her refusal. Angie cleverly disables Morido's mechanical arm and regains some ground, but Morido remains confident in her superiority. The conflict escalates as Morido taunts Angie about the unbridgeable gap and the secrets the H hold. Just as Morido gains the upper hand, Angie calls in backup. 12 appears and surprises Morido. 12 takes control of the freighter, revealing a trap that has the plane heading towards a Soviet military base instead of their intended destination. Morido's arrogance falters as 12 and Angie work together, shooting and wounding her, but Morido fights back fiercely. The tension peaks when Morido sabotages the aircraft, forcing a chaotic struggle for control amid the spinning and falling plane. Morido leaps out the emergency exit, leaving Angie and 12 scrambling to save the crippled freighter. As the freighter spirals dangerously, Angie reflects on the deeper conspiracy behind Morido's presence and Paradeus' infiltration. She worries about the full extent of the spy network and their connection to William, whose relic activation threatens global stability. Determined, Angie vows to take the offensive and uncover the truth hiding within Germany's shadows. Meanwhile, Kay rides in a van with Hops, imprisoned, and 94, quietly watching over them. Despite the silence, Kay senses mistrust from Angie towards him and tries to break the tension by offering a cigarette and even an invitation for a drink. 94 remains reserved, focusing on the mission, and polite, but distant. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter and Blue Sky for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Azure Lane videos as well.